apparently SimBitWorld has a PA expansion for their pilot's life. I didn't know that, so I was using PACX. And it's not that I don't like PACX. I just feel like it's not what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna try it. The SimBitWorld version was cheap, so I thought, what's the harm in trying it? Worst case scenario, I don't like it. I wasn't planning on having a flight sim video for Friday. I really wanted to try and make Fridays kind of a free play. It was gonna be anything that wasn't aviation related, just to kind of not box myself into that corner too quickly. However, I wanted to try this, and also I didn't really know what else to record. I've been busy with tax season, so this is what we get. And two, I really wanted to try this. So we're gonna jump in on our next flight of a pilot's life. We're gonna call this episode 2. Now, I forgot that I get a report after each flight. So I wanted to show you what it was last time. I did pretty good for my first one. I was hoping I could just oh, that's right, there's this details thing over here. So, of course you're not gonna see it for some reason, so let me see if I can swap it. I cannot. But what I can do is I will just hide everything and show you on the desktop. So I had actually passed everything except for this one, which is taxi light off when taxiing in. I assume that means that I either had it off too long or I didn't turn it off on time when I was pulling into the gate. I will find out. This flight I will try and remember to turn it on maybe while I'm still on the runway, see if it's that, and I won't change the timing of turning it off, although I can't tell you that I remember anyway. So, but no big deal. So we are currently in Calgary, and we need to go. I'm gonna go back to our dashboard, see what our next flight is. We are going from Calgary to... Just kidding, I was on the wrong screen. We are going from Calgary to Ottawa McDonald Cartier International Airport in Ottawa, Canada. And we're actually going to go from Iqaluit Airport, CYFB. So I have no idea how long this flight is going to be because the times are blanked out. I assume because this has flight radar 24 here, this is an actual flight. So maybe that's why the times aren't there, is because it's actually already happened. And it looks like we want to fly at 32,000 feet. So what I am going to do is two things here. I need to open up SimBrief, and I also need to put us in... I need to put us at a gate as well. That's kind of the other key piece here. So I have no idea how this expansion works. Apparently all you got to do is just register your license, registration code, whatever you want to call it. Not security code. Anyway, so I did all of that. So it's in here. I changed some settings. I have no idea how loud this is going to be. I mean, I did do the test, but it's different when you're actually in the plane. All right, we are regenerating the flight plan, and we are in a different aircraft. We're gonna start with that one, and I believe we should be good to go. So I've got the OFP, although I have to unload and then reload that, which is fine. SimBrief, OFP, hide. All right, so like I said before, we're going to follow the PMDG procedures and see if we can't get this going. It's a little bit different, so I might run a little bit slower. It looks like we got some ice on our windshield. Hello. All right, so we've got stairs. I do need ground power though, which we're gonna pretend like that's off. So first things first, obviously we have to start the battery, and oh, we already have ground power. So let's take that. Now, fuel today that we need, do we have enough? I'm going to assume no. So we have 7691 pounds. We are looking for block fuel of 21,446, and I gave ourselves the extra 100, so I don't have to do too much math here. Although adding 100 is not math, not that much math. But we are going to round up to the nearest 100, so we're going to go with 21,500. So we are going to request a fuel truck. Going to go with 21,500. That is our target, and we will start boarding after we fuel up. It is important to do that. So let's start the checklist. Landing gear is down, lever down, lights and lights. Speed brake is down, beautiful. Flaps are up with no lights, that's awesome. Battery on and covered, standby power auto and covered, which is this one. Master caution, disengage. Electric hydraulic pumps are off, which they both are, because that's how they start. Fuel pumps are all off. I assume that these are all going to be pretty good. Interior lights, we don't need them. Cabin utility power on and on. Ground power, connect and on, we already did that. AC selector is ground power, which it is, it's there by default. Emergency lights on and covered. I'm going to do as much of this as we can for, actually, you know what, no. I believe I saw that pilots would actually do this part while they're in this position, so we're going to do that. Where was I? Seatbelt signs on and auto, but I did see that pilots tend to wait until fueling is done to do that, which I should be able to start fueling because we are connected, so let's get that going. Oh, right, I can't scroll on my checklist here. I'll have to print that out or something. External lights. We just want, where was I? Position, steady, wheel well, logo wing as required. It's daytime, we don't need it. Cockpit lights is a test. I don't remember what won that test, but this gives us everything, and it's so pretty. Woo! I've been seeing a lot in Reddit and on TikTok about how pilots love to do that for kids. I might ask to go see it too at some point. Maybe on my next flight. All right, alarms test and oxygen mask test. So we are gonna try and do 2 back-to-back flights today. We're gonna double record. This upload will just be the first one, and then I want to start creating a little backlog of videos. So we're gonna test all of our fire stuff. Awesome, 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 and then that shuts it off. Beautiful. Squibs. Perfect, perfect, and then cargo works as well. All right, back to this view. Oxygen mask. So just kidding, we're going back to this view. So we're going to test this. Beautiful. Apparently you click this and then test it again, and it still works, which is awesome. And then FMC, set fuel and payload. Oh, FS action. So this is all the ground services. I already did that, so I can check that off. Okay. So while we're fueling up, we're going to set everything else that we're getting. So our passengers, we're going to have 123 passengers today. That is our target. And for our cargo, we're going to have 6.2. So what I usually like to do, and it's worked in the past, so I'm just going to stick with it. Any actual pilots out there, tell me if this is going to be different, but it's worked. We're at 6.2. So I'm going to put 3 in the front and 3.2 in the back. It's kind kind of almost split evenly, but I don't know the proper procedure on that. But we're gonna wait to request all that until fueling is done as well, which it is getting there. So, where was I? Okay, back to our view here. Trim air should be on, which it is. Recirc fans are on auto, which they are. PACX should be on auto. Get a little air conditioner in here. Autopilots are off, which they should be. I just turned the plane on. IRS selectors are on nav. Beautiful. So we're gonna say we just did all of the walk around stuff. So we are going to go to one of these views. And I want to do ground services over here. So that this can be FMC, nav data out of date. I don't know how to update that. I looked at, yeah, see, it's here. How do is somebody able to tell me how to change that? Because I know that we do have, it's 2503 now because my Navigraph updated. Does anybody know how to update this in Flight Sim? Because I do not. I could probably look it up. Actually, you know what? Menu. PMDG. Performance? That's not going to be it. Oh god, no, that's not it. Simulation? IRS options? No. I'm going to guess it's not in here. No. Colors, aircraft. Yeah, no, so if anybody knows how to update that, that would be awesome. Oh god. Oh, that's cool. Oops. Ah. That's maintenance. Oh, nav data. Here we go. Nope, just kidding. That is not what I was looking for. Anyway, so that's out of date. So if anybody knows how to change that, please, 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 please let me know. I'll probably look it up after, but I gotta go to you guys first. You guys are all the pros. All right, complete init ref page. Oh, see, this is where it doesn't give. Oh, I guess it does. So the GPS to here, and then I need to do the route in perf init. So route, and again, I'm going off of the PMDG checklist. So the Ryanair one was very, very specific as to what I was doing. This one I sort of have to go off of memory. So please bear with me, but it should be fine. I should also make sure that OBS is recording audio this time. It does seem to be, which is awesome. I might have to redo. No, I don't have to redo BeyondATC. Beautiful. And I do need to finish configuring my traffic injector, which is working. Okay, cool. So we are at CYFB. CYFB. I do have to say I'm going to have my co-pilot connect to I'm gonna have my co-pilot connect to ATC first so I can hear, like, you know, how you actually say this place. I think it's Caluet. I don't know. Alright, and then we're going to Charlie Yankee Oscar Whiskey. Beautiful. We should be runway. Oh, this is an ETOPS flight, apparently. Oh, I was not ready for an ETOPS flight. I don't know how the procedures change. So we're just going to pretend like that's not the case. We are runway 34 today. And we are flight number AKT. We are Arctic 55065. 0, 6, 5. Wonderful. Ta-da. All right, so we're not doing the legs or anything. We're just doing this page, and then init ref. I guess reference airport is CYFB, Charlie, Yankee, Foxtrot, and Bravo. Yep, that's what I said. Gate, I believe, is not done. Yeah. I don't think that that's done. I don't even know what gate we're at. Does this tell me? 32? Yeah, okay, so it's still not, which is fine. All right, we are done fueling, so we're gonna release that. And then I want to, once that's detached, we are going to request all of our baggage loaders. Oh, most of those are here. Cool. And then once the fuel truck's done, we can start our boarding process, which will be good. And I don't want to start our fuel pump until they're gone. I feel like that's a bad idea. But what we can do is go back to our normal doors. Yes, doors should be open. That is fine. Fuel truck departure hold. Okay, so we can turn on our fuel pump forward number 1. And then as a result, we can start our APU. And then we should hopefully see this start to kick up. Maybe in the meantime, I don't know why your departure hold, but regardless, let's start our boarding. So again, I'm not using PACX, so we will see how the audio changes, if it changes at all, which I'm pretty sure it's going to. We are using the expansion for a pilot's life. They have their own expansion, which means I don't control anything about it. So I have no idea what to expect. I saw a video, like a trailer, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm hoping it's gonna work really well. So APU does have to be running for, I guess, a minute before we can turn the AC packs on. So we're gonna switch to that, and then we're going to start a clock for 1 minute. Now, because we did that and we got rid of ground power, what I can also do is tell them that they can take the ground power away. Fuel truck is departing, and we can start boarding the front cargo. We're waiting for the back cart to connect, and then we can do that as well. All right, beautiful. We'll start that as well. We're not quite at a minute. We are almost at a minute. And then we can turn on the APU bleed. Oh, I always do that. I end up clicking things when I go to try and click off of the game, off of the sim. All right, that is 1 minute. So we can now turn on the APU bleed, and then we can do AC voltmeter selector. We can turn to APU, which I don't remember if it's APU or APU Gen. Okay, so it's APU Gen. Beautiful. We have dual bleed, that's fine. And master caution, it says we can disengage, which should just be doors and the AC, because the AC is dual bleed. And then we can request our clearance, which again, let me go into here. And we want center, which is 134 550. I did think about doing a pop-out panel thing. I could not get it to work, but the last time I tried was, to be honest, on Flight Sim 2024. So. Oh, good. We're at Montreal Center. We're not even... Okay. That's fine. All right, let me get my notepad. I'm going to try and do this the proper way. We'll see how it goes. Montreal Center, Arctic 5065. Request IFR clearance to Ottawa. Forgot we're at Ottawa.
Arctic 5065, Montreal Center. Expect runway 34. Climb 6,000 feet on runway centerline. Then expect radar vector 61N070W, squawk 1300.
That was a...
Arctic 5065, Montreal Center. Expect runway 34. Climb 6,000 feet on runway centerline. Then expect radar vector 61N070W, squawk 1300.
Right. Oh, God. Expect runway 34, cleared altitude 6,000, flying runway centerline, then radar vector 61 November 070 Whiskey, squawk 1300, Arctic 5065. How did I do?
Arctic 5065, read back correct. Push or start at pilot's discretion. Hold for release. Report holding short runway 34.
Cool. Push and start pilot's discretion, hold for release, report holding short runway 34, Arctic 5065. Awesome. Alright, so that was, go figure, the first time that I'm like, oh, hey, you know, let me try and practice taking notes, so that way when I am ready for VATSIM, I'll be good to go. And they give me the most unusual clearance that I have ever heard. And by ever heard, I mean, you know, in what I've done in Flight Sim. So, wild. Okay, so we are squawk 1300, so let's get that going, and I believe this is supposed to be off at the moment. And then altimeter, you never gave me an altimeter, which actually I wanted to get this going here so that you guys could also see the OFP that I'm working on, or working from. So here's the OFP, but I'm going to try and do this with METAR. Alright, here is the time. So wind is 300 at 4 knots, clouds, no, 30 mile visibility, broken clouds at 1100. I don't remember what these are. Altimeter is 2995, and I don't remember what that is. So 2995, that's the important thing. So 2995. All right. Good job, Brandon. All right. So the FMC, we're now going to do departure, but our cargo is done. Where are we with boarding? Still working on it. It's fine. All right. Departure arrival. We are runway 34. And then the SIDS. Ooh, I never even got my charts together. So SID, we are, let me get this up here. No SID. Awesome. I do need airport chart. We'll read all those in a minute. That's all fine. All right, arrival. We will get that in a moment. Well, actually, let me just get that now. So we're Limi depart. Yeah, Limi Star, and then the approach we're supposed to be landing runway 32. I'd rather the ILS. 32, we'll take that, and then airport info, take that. Don't know which of these we need, and departure. Honestly, we might need de-icing. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, awesome. Anyway, so we are doing this, right? Okay. No SID. But the arrival, we said we're trying to land runway 32, and that is going to be Limi 5 and BMOG. So here's Limi 5, transition BMOG. All right. So we are direct Dajim, D-A-J-I-M. And then 6-1 November. Oh god, this thing. Okay, that was 6-1 November. Oh, I did actually get that 070 whiskey. Invalid entry. I don't... 6-1. Remember 070. Invalid entry. Okay, I don't know how to enter these, to be completely honest with you. Huh. Let's see how SimBrief wants to do this. I'm not touching any of that. I'm going to try not to touch any of that. I just want the route. In the meantime, passengers are done boarding, so we're going to release them. Or release the stairs, not the passengers. And then I think we're good with ground services until... Alright, we're going to load. I really hope that that doesn't mess with my payload. I mean, it shouldn't, because I'm getting it all off of them anyway. Alright, so... 617, okay. I want to know, you know, learning opportunity. So it was 6-1 November 070 whiskey. 6170 November. And then 5-8 November. Yeah, see, I would not have been able to figure this out. Yeah. There's not a chance would I have figured out how to do that. To get rid of a couple of my things here. So we were... I don't remember. 55065. 55065. Departure, arrival, departure, and then arrival to Limi, Demog, route, next, activate, okay. Execute. Performance in it. Yeah, okay, we got to do this, and then we will do takeoff, and then I think we're good. So, our gross weight... No, we got to start with cost index. So, cost index, we are... Cost index 11. Reserves, we have... 4.8. Estimated zero fuel weight is 122.69, so 122.7. 122.7. And our cruise altitude, I believe, is 320, which it is, so flight level 320. And then cruise wind, so we got to find our top of climb wind. I wish I could use a scroll wheel here. Can't, but that's fine. Top of climb, here it is, 168 at 7. 68 at 07. Transition altitude, we're gonna stick with 18,000. Don't do that, so execute. And then N1 limit. Performance tool, take off. We are going 3-4. I still have no idea how to say that. Flap config is 5. And we got to do our gross weight, right? Where am I supposed to do that? Here. So flaps are 5. Gross weight. So what are you looking for? GC 24.1. 1. And our weight. Let's route. Takeoff. Oh, didn't mean to do that. N1 limit. Yeah, performance. N1 limit. Takeoff. Yeah. There was something else I wanted to do here. Yeah, because we got to do all this anyway. Oh, I need my weight. 144,200. Alright, AC is on, import weather, make life easy, and then calculate. So what else do I need here? N1 limit, select temp 31 Celsius. Takeoff 2. I don't see anything, I never see anything about climb, so I'm just going to leave it as default, whatever it is, because I don't really know what to do with that. 300 at 4. Good to know that I read that properly from the MEDAR report. And then the runway slope is 0.45. So we're just going to call it 0.5. And I think that's all we need from there. So 140, 140, 146. 40, 140. Look at that. It calculated it for us. Runway conditions are dry. Alright. I think we are good here. So initial altitude, we were cleared to 6,000. I have no idea when were we supposed to leave? 1340? Oh yeah, we've still got time before we're supposed to back up. Takeoff runway. Let's go back to our charts. Pinned, bid, airport, report. Oh, we got to read the minimums and stuff like that too, but we'll get there. So 341 is our runway heading. Let's 341. Elevator trim, which we know to be a number. Which that number is 5.31. Da 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 da. We gotta set the V2 speed. I forget to do that sometimes, which is wild. So 146. Get that there real quick. There's our V6 or V2 speed, but we're also going to add 15 to it. So that's going to be 161. And that was based off of checklists from Microsoft Flight Simulator itself. The default in-game ones. Yaw damper, I can't see because of this, so I'm gonna go shift 6, yaw damper on. Where were we? Fuel pumps, all that are usable. I don't believe we have any fuel. Oh, we do have fuel in the center. This is the first flight I've done in a while that had fuel pump, like fuel in the center tank. Crossfeed test. And it looks good. Window heat is going to be on. Wing and engine anti-ice as required. There's ice on our windshield, so I'm going to assume we need that. Unless it's rain. I assume it's ice. Hydraulic pumps all on across the board. Doors are closed, which is nice. So that means, I think that error then was from PACX. I think it's because the doors weren't secure. That is one thing I don't have, is communication with the flight attendants that PACX does have. That would be nice to have. I thought it was a nice added feature. You know what I could do? Let's find out. Let's put... Yeah, that's ice. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, flight altitude. So let's go back here. So we're flying at 320. But we do need to know... I think it's control 9 gets here. What is the airport info for our arrival? For landing. I guess these. Ugh, hate that. Okay. Elevation on runway 32 is 367, so we're just gonna put it on 350. I think that'll be fine. That's auto. That's fine. Everything here looks fine. Where were we? Flight directors. Okay, so this is where we're getting to this part. So flight directors on, mine first, then yours. LNAV, VNAV as required. I think this is for height. We're getting vectored, so we're not going to do that. We'll do heading select. Auto brake is RTO. Comm radio set. We never even got another thing. Ground connections, remove all. So GPU, jetway stairs, baggage loaders, we already got all that. Doors are closed. We already verified that. So we don't have checklists per se. This is definitely more of procedural, but that's fine because the checklists are just reiterating what I'm doing, and I don't have a co-pilot to make sure, so I wasn't even actually looking at it, to be honest. Alright. We're good for the before start. So what I'm going to do is ground services. Let's get rid of the... Oh, we got to set our parking brake first. And then we can get rid of the chocks. Beautiful. Takeoff briefing. I don't know. I guess abort for anything up to 80, and then after 80, only abort if, you know, shit's on fire. And then at V1, we obviously have to go. So PACs are going to be off. Anti-collision is going to be on, which is this one. Transponder, alt off. I think I'm doing this in the right order. Okay, I didn't skip anything. Alt off.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vera, and I'm your chief flight attendant.
We're gonna hear her
The
again.
fasten seatbelt sign is on.
Or display
If
engine
you haven't already
unit
done
to
so,
engine.
please stow your carry-on luggage
Okay.
underneath the seat in
And
front of
request
you
pushback.
or in an overhead bin.
I already have.
Please take your seat
Pushback
and fasten your
clearance.
seatbelt. Also make sure your seat back and folding
Oh, you know
plates
what?
are in their full upright position.
Where is our...
If you are seated next to an
We're
emergency
here, so we
exit,
need to make sure
please
we're
carefully
facing...
read the special
We want our
instructions
tail
cards
to the
located
left,
by your seat.
so facing to the right.
If you do not wish to perform the functions described in the event of an emergency,
But I'm going to try and do custom.
please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
I want to see how
We
that
remind
goes.
you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is prohibited on the entire aircraft, including the
We should do
lavatory.
de-icing.
Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke
That'd be
detectors
cool to see.
is prohibited by law. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate
So
to
we're
ask one
9
of our
minutes
flight
from wheels up.
attendants.
That's not bad.
Thank you.
I'm curious what the de-icing procedures look like. Let's go external. Cool. Am I actually gonna... Oh, they're actually gonna do it. Oh, that's cool. Can I see it from in here? Not really, so we'll just stick with... Now we're just waiting. Oh, it sounds like they finished up. Now we're just waiting for them to give the clearance. There we go. See ya. Now we're just waiting for the pushback tug. So I'm going to try and do custom. Basically, I want my tail to face to the left. Okay. That's fine. So am I, but you still have the pin. So I don't know. And there go the de-icing. Well, that was fun. I've never done that before. Okay. Ah, here we go. Now we're moving. Beautiful. All right. What is quick edit? I want to... I'm not too late for my departure. You guys just kind of screwed up. No, I don't want to do... That's fine. Why am I back here? Okay. I don't want to interrupt pushback. I just don't know how to... Oh, that's annoying. All right, we're a minute late, but that's fine. We never even looked at our hydraulics, to be honest. All right, that's fine. Yep. I need to also make sure that my reverse thrusters work. I might do that mid-flight. I'll double check what button that is. Okay, now we're being lifted up. I'm just gonna do the default. They're gonna screw it up somehow, but I don't know. Cross that bridge, I guess. Alright, so nose to the right, tail to the left. I just want to point that out, and that's my right and left. I've confirmed that. That is fine. All I ask is that you put me in the right direction, which it seems like you're doing so far. That's nice. That is awesome. I'm not used to that. Going through more fuel than I wanted, but we're also a couple minutes late. That is fine because unlike PACX, I don't have to tell them. There's our wing walker, there's that guy who's doing the pin, and I definitely feel like you're gonna put us in the wrong direction again. Yeah, see, there is icing. So I'm glad I put that on then. Okay, maybe we are gonna go in the right direction. Oh, wouldn't that be something? So, duct pressure gauge, verify 30. I assume that means here. It's not, but it's also because we're dual bleeding right now. Oh, cool, our landing altitude didn't stay. That's awesome. I don't know what happened there. I probably reset it. Everything looks to be good. Yeah, so there wasn't any checks, but I mean, this kind of... Oh, okay. Parking brake set. So, pushback is completed. So what we're going to do is start with number 2. And then once that hits 25, feel bad, our passengers haven't had AC this whole time. It's a cold temperature. All right, there's our 25, and got to make sure that these valves close. Beautiful, and then wait until we get a good engine start, which it looks like we are going to get. So why don't we just tell them confirm good engine start, so they can start working on that. Gonna wait till everything goes, wait until that start valve closes. And then we are going to start number 1. Perfect. All right. Time for number 1. Beautiful. Awesome. And then he should pop out right over here. There he is. All right, we're at 25. Let me do that. I want to check that these close. Beautiful. He's got the bypass pin. I can see it. So that means we are clear. Thank you. And it looks like we got another good engine start. Yes, I see you. Hello. I wish I could wave, but hello. Have a good trip. Thank you. So we can set this to continuous, and then once that kicks out, we can go continuous on that as well. Which is going to take a minute, I think, because it's cold. But that's fine. So before taxi, oh, beautiful, there's that. Gen engine switches left and right, so boom and boom. AC voltmeter, we're going to go to Gen 1. APU we can shut off. APU bleed we can shut off. PACX we can go to on. Passengers will be happy on that. Isolation valve is already set to auto. Probe heat we can turn on, which we're going to need because clearly it's cold out. Engine anti-ice, I kept it on. Flaps we want set, which we are going to 5. Trim verify set, which it is. Flight controls free and clear, so we're going to go system. We're going to check, so that's full left, full right, down, up, rudder, and rudder. And just to see that it's going, can do that, down, back, but it's fine. All right, and we do have hydraulic pressure, so that's awesome. So we can get rid of that, and actually let's just put that there. Flaps are set in green. Recall is good. Request taxi clearance, we don't need to do that because we have free taxi. We're gonna go on and runway turn-off lights as required. I'm just gonna turn them on anyway. TCAS we want to put to test. No, we want to test it, right? Is that just this ident button? I don't know. I don't know how to test that. Somebody can tell me in the comments. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is that we are good to taxi. So let's start doing that. My wires for my microphone are all in my way. So we're gonna go 15 knots at apron. We're off the apron. 30 knots on the taxiway. We're not gonna be taxiing on the runway. We are gonna try and stick to 10 ground knots, 45-degree angles, and then before takeoff, we will park, and then get clearance from there. So, and we're gonna do our config check. Beautiful. Ooh, we don't need to go that hard. Way too fast. Way too fast. Oh, we can go 30 knots though, so we can...
Ladies and gentlemen, we now request your full attention as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft. When the seatbelt sign illuminates... So that is kind of quiet in my ears, but I'm curious how it's going to be in yours. So if I do need to turn that up, leave a comment. Let me know. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened. But it is tough because it's one of those things that it works in my ears because it's not too loud. This light beacon seems like it shouldn't be there. Your nearest exit. We're gonna hit that. In some cases, your nearest exit may be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, floor-level lighting will guide you towards the exit. Doors can be opened by moving the handle in the direction of the arrow. Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be detached and used as a life raft. oxygen and air pressure are always being monitored. In the unlikely event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will automatically appear in front of you.
Should I keep
To start
taxiing?
the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you.
I go further down.
Place it firmly over your nose and mouth. Secure the
Thinking
elastic
so, but let me
bands
kinda-
behind your head and breathe normally. Although the bag does
Yeah,
not
why don't we
inflate,
give ourselves a full
oxygen
runway?
is flowing to the mask.
Just to make sure.
If you are traveling
Can't be too
with a
careful,
child
right?
or someone who requires assistance, secure your
So
own
we'll go to
mask
that
first,
next-
and then assist the other person.
That
Keep your
next,
mask on until a crew member advises you to
taxiway.
remove it.
because they didn't
In the
tell me I
event of
had
an
to go
emergency,
somewhere.
Please assume
to a
the
specific
bracing position. If you hear
ramp.
brace, brace, lean forward with your hands on top of your head and your elbows
This is a
against your
very
thighs.
in-depth.
Ensure your feet are
safety
flat on
briefing.
the floor. A life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests.
I like it.
When instructed to do so, open the plastic pouch and remove the
Oh,
vest.
I never...
Slip it over your head. Pass the straps around your waist and adjust at the front. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord, only when leaving the aircraft. If you need to refill the vest, blow into
I
the
want to mess with
mouthpieces.
the audio.
Use the whistle and light to attract attention. Also, your seat bottom cushion can be used as a flotation
Alright, so
device.
we're coming in a little bit
Pull
too
the
fast
cushion
for
from
that
the
kind of
seat,
turn.
slip your arms into the straps, and hug the cushion to your chest.
Alright.
You will find this and all the other safety information in the card located in the seat pocket in front of you.
I meant to change the
We strongly
audio
suggest you read it
tracks
before
to...
takeoff. If you have any questions,
Hopefully that
please
doesn't
don't
screw
hesitate
anything
to
up.
ask one of our crew members.
Alright, parking
We
brake
wish you
is
all an
set.
enjoyable
Auto
flight.
throttle is set. Center fuel pumps as required. They are on. They are good. Cabin lights as required. Don't really need them. Flight instruments checks. Engine brake temp check. I don't even know where to find brake temp. But I'm going to assume they're good because, you know, we just started. Takeoff data, V1, VR, V2. Which of those should all be good. So N1, takeoff, 140, 140, 146. Our Mach is 161. Nav equipment check. And then, alright, so we need takeoff clearance. So we have to let them know. Who is it? Montreal Center? Okay, so we are very, very late. We're 15 minutes late, which is fine. I'm going to let my co-pilot...
Arctic 5065, short of 34, holding for release.
So I was right on that, at least.
Arctic 5065, released for departure. Clearance void if not off by 1415 Zulu.
That's
If
fine.
not off by 1415 Zulu, contact no later than 1425 Zulu. Time now 1354 Zulu. Frequency change approved.
That was a lot of info. But all we care about is release for departure. Arctic 5065. I don't know if that's all I needed to say or if I needed to say more. I don't know. So, alright, we are cleared. So we are going to do landing lights on. Runway turnoff lights are on. Taxi light is off. Oh, we gotta line up first.
Flight attendant, prepare for takeoff.
I got dinged for the taxi lights, so let me line up first. According to PACX, my takeoffs are unsafe too. I don't know how to fix that, but whatever. Figure it out. Alright, we want to stay under 10 for ground speed, so we're just going to taxi here using this extra runway. I forget what it's called, but it's separate. You're not supposed to land or take off on it, I believe. Alright. We have runway 34 confirmed. Let me set the brakes. We have plenty of time. So taxi lights are going to be off. Position lights are strobe and steady. Transponder is going to be TARA. Boom, boom, boom. Autopilot is going to be... No, we're not quite there yet. I almost just skipped. TFC. I don't know what TFC is. I'm going to quickly check it. We have time, so... let's be in Oh, I think that's one of these, right? So that's probably terrain, I would imagine. All right, so we are set for takeoff. So let's get going. No sense in delaying. So we're gonna go to 40. Make sure that it is. Nope, we got a caution. What do we have a caution for? Doors. Yeah, see, the freaking doors are open again. And I don't understand why. So why don't we have time, we gotta troubleshoot it. I don't understand why this always happens. Doors. Nothing is open. So let me open them and then close them. And they're open. So I don't know. From what I've read, it seems to be kind of a glitch, I'll say. I really don't understand why they would be like that, but we're going to ignore it because I just want to get going. So, all right. We need 40 and then stabilize. Stabilized, and we're going to go full takeoff. See, and now I think they're closed. All right. So I did.
Your speed's alive.
Beautiful.
80 knots.
Continuing. All right, we're rotating. Oh, beautiful.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. Okay, and we are passing 400. So let's turn our autopilot on. And let's let the aircraft fly. All right, so let's stick with this for a second. Engine, so auto brake is off. Okay, we're approaching gear up, so I'm gonna go gear to 1. Montreal Center, Arctic 5065 with you, 2,500 feet. Flaps all the way up. All right, engine start to off.
Arctic 5065, Montreal Center, radar contact, climb to 16,000 feet, altimeter 29904.
Okay, we gotta change the altimeter. Climb to 16,000 feet, 29904, Arctic 5065. So, we're going 16,000. Notice how
Arctic 5065, turn left, heading 215. Expect further clearance in about 49er miles.
Left heading 215, Arctic 5065. Oh, 215. This is already going so much better than last time. All right. So flaps are up. We're going to continue with what we're doing. We're already at 250, which is perfect for speed. Flaps raised on schedule. We already did that. Autopilot is on, done. LNAV, VNAV. We're using VNAV and heading select. Runway turn off lights. We're going to shut off. Cabin lights as required. We don't need it. And we'll keep terrain on for a little bit. Wow, look at that scenery. That is beautiful. All right, so while we wait for further clearance, we need to go through our climb settings. Yeah, see, I'm hitting bugs here. And I don't mean to. I'm just trying to click off screen. So maybe, I don't know, let me try something. If I do Alt-Tab, that doesn't affect you guys. Cool. So our next procedure is going to be during passing 10,000, which we're not quite there yet, and then transition altitude, not quite there either. So 10 checks are going to be first, which we are coming up on that. So we're going to change this from terrain to weather. So 10 checks. Landing lights are coming off. We can do seatbelts to auto. Center fuel pumps as required. We do still need them for a little bit. Anti-ice as required. We're going to leave them on. And we're not quite at transition altitude, but once we do that, we will set to standard. And then we just got to get to cruise. So I might, if I have to go, I realize that I can use Flight Assistant. I think I can have the AI do the piloting for me while I, if I have to go and do something. So I could set the air traffic thing. They can respond, like they can do everything. They can respond to BeyondATC. They can do all of that. So I might have to utilize that in a minute. So a couple of things to note. So I am using, speaking of BeyondATC, I'm using BeyondATC for the air traffic controller.
Arctic 5065, climb to flight level 320.
Climb flight level 320, Arctic 5065. I think that's my call sign. Oh, look at that. Alright, so 320, we're just going to keep climbing. Which is awesome. So yeah, I might have to do that. What was I saying? Oh, I'm using BeyondATC for air traffic. I am ready to go for VATSIM, but I really want to get better at flying before I jump into VATSIM. I'm kind of nervous to do that for the first time. We'll see when we get to it. Otherwise, I'm using GSX, as you saw, the traffic injector, so we should hear some live traffic if there is any. BeyondATC does pick that up, which is kind of cool. And the PMDG 7378 is what we're using. I also forgot to set the clock. I always do that. So, oh well. I'm gonna check the recall. All right, so we're coming up on our 18, so I'm just going to hit standard now, which changes it by next to nothing anyway. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. We're still getting vectored to our first waypoint. And then at, I think, 80 knots, what I want to do is, or 80 nautical miles, that is when we will worry about descent procedures. One thing I did want to check is, do we have any wind? Yes, we have wind shear at this waypoint. So a little bit of turbulence there, but I think that is it. And then right before our top of descent, which I'm going to be turning the seatbelt on anyway at that point. So I think once we pass this one, 6-1 November, I will turn on the seatbelt sign, which is after our top of climb, which we are coming up on. That's cool. I just wanted to see this. This is pretty cool. I like that I have the METAR right here too. I'll be looking at that later on, but it looks like currently for our arrival.
Arctic 5065, turn left, heading 180.
Left heading 180, Arctic 5065. What did they say? 180? Okay. Cool. Then they're going to probably have us turn.
Arctic 5065, clear direct 61N070W, resume navigation.
Clear direct, resume on navigation, Arctic 5065. Alright, so there we go. So I just hit LNAV, and now we're going to turn right onto that route, which is perfect timing because I have to step away for just a moment. So I'm going to let AI take over from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our cruising altitude. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Have a great journey.
What I love about autopilot and BeyondATC is I can step away and, you know, run to the bathroom and, you know, don't have to worry about it. I can just leave it and everything's going to be good. But it looks like we're coming up on our top of climb. We did pass our flight level 300, so we do have to turn our bank limiting down to 10. And yeah, that is that. We are still 100 miles from our waypoint, so we've got plenty of time. We were due to land at let me pull up our flight plan here. We are going to be a little bit late. We were due to land at 16:54 and what was that, 7 minutes? That's not bad. 7 minutes is not bad at all. Oh cool, it gives us estimated times for getting to where we need to, so that's nice. So anyway, I guess enjoy. Sure, I can do that. It's pretty cool. Oh, there's one back here too, I didn't know that. Can't open that. Oh wait, yeah I can. Which I'm not going to right now, obviously. Pressure all looks good. Everything looks good. So I think I will probably time-lapse a lot of this, and I will see you if anything exciting happens or when we get to our top of descent. You know what? Before we forget, I wanted to quickly look at some settings. I just wanted to double check that, but I didn't want to do it mid kind of time lapse. So anyway, back to the cruise.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a brief announcement from the flight crew. We are pleased to inform you that our in-flight meal service will begin shortly. Our dedicated cabin crew will be coming through the aisles with a selection of delicious meal options for you to enjoy.
I completely forgot that the whole point of this extra video was the PA announcements, and that just kind of startled me a little bit. Not too much, because, I mean, you know, I'm still listening for air traffic and stuff like that. But that was funny. I like that. I do like that feature. I can't update them on time-wise, but I think that's probably fine, because my career mode is now in Pilot's Life, not using PACX. So it works. But anyway, so they're starting to do all of that. We've still got, let's see, 17:02 is our arrival time, which is 12:02. Oh, well, that's UTC anyway. So we've still got a hot minute before we get anywhere. Our next waypoint we're gonna hit in, it looks like, what, 12 minutes? And then it's like another half hour, and then it's like another hour and a half on top of that. So we've still got a minute. So we're gonna keep doing the time lapse, and then yeah, I'll check back in if anything exciting happens, or probably at our next waypoint in 75 miles. All right, we are coming up on the next waypoint, which is like November 5 something. Yeah, it's a big one. We're 6 nautical miles away from that, 189 from the next waypoint, which you can see on the live map right here. 188 nautical miles now, 816 from the airport. We are still approximately, God, what is that? 2 hours and 9 minutes away. Totally fine. I might sim rate some of this just to kind of get going, because I did want to try and do another flight right after this. So yeah, maybe I will sim rate to that next waypoint, just to kind of get things moving. I do want to be able to record another flight if I can. So I will check in on the next one, and yeah, I will see you guys shortly. Alright, we're about 40 miles from the next waypoint, which looks like 5572 November. It is currently 1514 Zulu. We'll be hitting it at 1520 Zulu, so another 6 minutes. And then it's to the other long one, November 51 Whiskey 074 at 1557 Zulu, so it's another 37 minutes after that. And then top of descent is going to be on the other side of that. So I will just kind of keep going and check in with you guys when we get to the next waypoint after that. So let's talk to you guys soon. Alright, so our top of descent is coming up just under 80 nautical miles, as you can see here. So we're going to switch to our 80 mile screen, and we're going to start some procedural planning is what I'm going to call it. So our star, we are the Lima 5 approach. Well, first off, let me get the FMC set up. Because I tried to hide it. So we will figure this part out shortly. But in the meantime, so I like to do 80 versus the 40 that PMDG says, only because it, I don't know, it gives me more time to figure this stuff out. So I did check the fuel. We're at 8.1. We should end up having plenty because we need 6.5, or we will be at 6.5 when we get there. So it is airport information. We are going to need that. I'm actually going to get that from our Pilot's Life screen. So you can kind of see the progress we've made. We're getting really, really close here. So we need our altimeter, which is going to be 3023. So let's get that set first. So 3023, I think is what I said. Right, 023. 23, yes. All right. So that is set. I might just bring up the Ryanair flows for this one. Yeah, because this is far more in depth. So, speed. So consider threats. Never landed at this airport. Seems kind of chilly. So let's just say that. So we're gonna go to our descent page, and speed is at 240. We tend to come in a little bit fast, so we'll keep it there. Forecast. So transition levels. We're just going to request all the winds. We're gonna do that instead, and let that do it. And then we're gonna do our fix. Do I gotta click this twice? No. Okay. I think it's working. Let me just do this back to here. Alright. Let's load this in. That's gonna save us a lot of time. Look at that. Alright. Perfect. So that is all there. The QNH. I'm hoping this will say it.
Arctic 5065. Contact Montreal Center 126.575.
126.575 Arctic 5065. 126.575. Montreal Center, Arctic 5065, flight level 320. Hold on that one. That's nice, 3023. Can I just
Arctic 5065, Montreal Center, identified.
Oh, cool, I can just do that. Oh, that's awesome. Wind altitudes, that's all there, and then I can just hit execute. Beautiful. Still coming up on our top of descent, but we've still got time. So, fix page, fix. We are supposed to be runway. I'm just looking at this all for the first time. Back to top, back to top. Supposed to be runway. I keep going. No, I passed it. Oh, don't I feel like a dum-dum. Okay, runway 32. So, RW, 32. Boom. And then we want 5 nautical miles, and that is going to be, we need to have our flaps at 15 geared down. And then 10 nautical miles, we need to be at flaps 5. So to get to 15, we got to be a speed of 200 or lower. Nope, 250 or lower is flaps 5. 15 is 200, so that's fine. But we got to be at 250 anyway once we're under 10,000, so that's totally fine. Then we'll slow down. From there, we'll start to slow down to 200. And then once we hit 15, we're going to try and slow down to at least 175, if not go all the way down to our VREF. So current altitude, we need to do that divided by 1,000, so we're at 32,000, so it's going to be 32 times 3, that's going to be 96. And this is supposed to be approximately our top of descent, a little bit later, but I'm going to say that's our, final to be top of descent. So route, we're going to be vectored, that is fine. Legs. We do kind of want to double check all this. So we're coming in at BMOG, which is here, which we need to be at or above flight level 210. No, we got to be at or below 210, which is fine. We're going to be going in at a speed of 251, so to get to 250 will be easy. And we've got Alito, which is going to be, so we're runway 32, so we got to be below, at or below 16,000, which is what we have. And then we get to Dunham, which is runway 32, at or below 13, which is what we have. And then it looks like we're going in through Ilubo. Where is that? Here it is. So we're going to go this way to Mirko and then Ilubo, which we got to be max of 210 at 5,000. Beautiful. And then Texan should be our next. Going to be on approach. 3-2. There's our Texan. Max of 190 knots. Perfect. And then that's going to be at 3,000. And then we hit our glide slope there. We are going to need this, so minimums is going to be 571. So let's just set that so that we don't forget. All right. And then we do need the ILS, which is 110.3. So 110.3. And then what is our VOR for the go around gonna be? We're gonna go ILS. And then we're gonna go 3,320. So let me do this to 320 just as a reminder. Still got a little bit before top of the sun, so that's good. So 320 is runway heading, and then we got to go up to 3,000, which I will do that when we get to our glide slope. So we also need the length of the runway and the elevation. So the elevation is 371. Let's go 371. Enter. And the length I will get when we get to the performance tab, which is probably coming up soon because I was probably supposed to do this. Alright, so nav, ILS is VOR to standby for go around, which I do gotta find that. Are we? So we want to start working our way to 210 soon. So I'm going to do 210, and then I'm going to tell them we're ready for descent. Montreal Center, Arctic 5065, ready for descent. Let's just get this going now.
Arctic 5065, Lima 5, runway 32. Descend to flight level 210.
Lima 5, runway 32, descend flight level 210, Arctic 5065. So, altitude, do that. And then we can get back to this stuff. So the VOR for the go around. Oh yeah, they have a French. That's cool. The VOR is going to be I don't know, can I get a VOR on this? I don't know. Not too worried. So anyway, that's the approach. What else do we got to do? Got to get airport elevation, which we already did. Land altimeter minimums. Beautiful. Okay. So we got to do progress. we have a difference of 1. So now I think if we go to init ref, yeah, we're going to take 1 off of that. So we're going to go 129.2. Okay. So that's that. That's approach ref. We did that. And then we need to know what our flap settings are going to be. I think we're going to go with 30, but let's do our performance tool. We're going to do landing en route. Going to Ottawa. We are runway 32. There's all of that info. Runway length 9931. So before we forget, let's do that. 9931, I think is what I just said. 9931. Beautiful. Weight, we just got that number. It's 129,200. 129,200. We are going to go flaps config of 30. ACs are on. VREF add 5. Okay, so I'm not doing that myself. Auto brakes, so at 9,000, I think we can go 1. I think it's under 8 we go 2, under 5 we go 3, I think. So we're going to go with auto brakes 1, and we're going to import the weather, make life easy. So 3023, that is what I had. We are under 300, so I'm going to change this back to 25. And then we're going to hit calculate. So this is going to bring us a long way down the runway. So why don't we do auto brakes 2? And then that should, I think, work better. Actually, you know what? Let's go all reversers. Oh, that just shortens it a little bit. So we're going to go auto brakes 2. Why don't I set that now? And then we are going to go... The VREF is 145, so that is this plus 5. So that works perfect. Auto brake as required. Descent checklist perform. We're not going to worry about that. So that was the only one from Ryanair that I kind of wanted to do, just because there's a lot that
Montreal
goes into
Center, Jazz 848, descending via La Fleur 7, flight level 328.
Try and do this without hitting any buttons here. Okay, perfect.
Jazz 848, Montreal Center
Okay, so we're
identified.
getting some more traffic as well, which is fine.
Jazz 848. Contact Montreal approach 134.15.
So I think that is all set.
Contact Montreal approach 134.15.
So I think the next
Jazz
check we gotta do is
848.
once we get below 10,000. So the PMDG says 40 miles before top of descent, which we already did. That's why I like to do 80, because it does take me a minute to get all that. ATIS airport information, we already got that. Altimeter, we already changed. Radios, we've already got set. MCP altitude, we're already working on that. FMC approach speed reference, we already did that. Localizer, ILS, yep. Descent forecast page, we've already done that. So, descent checklist, we have already been doing that. We're not quite at transition. That's going to be our next one, is 18,000. Below 10,000, we're going to do all of that. Approach, altimeter. Yeah. I think we know what we're going to do. So I think the next time that I look at the procedures is going to probably be right after landing, because we've got to do a bunch of switches and stuff when we go to taxi off the runway. So once we get below 10,000, we're going to shut off our lights and stuff. 18,000, we're going to hit the... so I think you're good to just be ready. 110.3, that does match. And I think we're getting vectored in, kind of the other piece. So, which actually, let me take a look at that. We're getting vectored in after what, title? Progress. Oh, we'll go legs. Mirko, Ilubo, auto title, and then we're gonna get vectored. And then that should bring us to runway heading after that, because it, you know, goes back the other way. And then we're going to come in here. We should hopefully be at 3,000 feet by then. So, I think we're good with all of that. And then we need the airport info. So we're coming in on 32. So some cautions here. This apron that's across. We're probably going to be landing. We'll want to get off. So D is perpendicular. K is a little bit off. So that's going to kind of determine what taxiway we are. And then we'll worry about the aprons once we get there. These are the teens and 20s are down here. One is up here. And then that parking is probably not where we're going to end up being. So I think we'll be in a good position. Let me change this down to 40, kind of clean up that screen. Okay, we're at flight level 210. That's where we want to be. Which reminds me, I gotta go here. And we'll have to start our descent after that. Fine. Alright, so there was reference info here. Oh, we got a nice picture. That's nice. The poppy is on the left side. Beautiful. Anything else we needed to know? Let's look at the star first, because we're coming in on that. Alright. Descent planning. Runway, okay, aircraft planning, the ILS runway 32. Mandatory altitude at Lubo not applicable. Okay. That's fine. We're going to stick with it anyway, but that just, you know, good to know. Transition altitude is flight level 180 and safe altitude within 100 nautical miles of 7100. So as long as we're close, you're good to go there. And then any notes on the approach. I can also probably get rid of, let's get rid of the weather. And let's get rid of the waypoint data. No? Yeah, we'll just stick with that for now. Okay. Any notes here about where we're going? Missed approach, climb to 3,000, heading 320 for vectors. That totally makes sense. Transition level, we've got all of that. Radar or RNAV required. Safe altitude, localizer reliable, only within 10 degrees, either side of centerline. Intensive training area northwest. Procedure turn not authorized. Okay, so we can't go north. Oh, that's why we're going to get vectored. Alright, that all makes a lot of sense. Not a ton that I think we have to worry about. There's a reference there. No. I think we're good there. It's going to be at or below. And, oh, there's some traffic up there. That is that. I'm trying to think of what else I can work through for planning purposes. I don't really think that there is much. 320 is going to be a runway heading, and then once we connect with the localizer, we're going to set our altimeter, our altitude bug to 3,000. So Lubo, the altitude doesn't matter, which noted, but the speed does. Got to be at or below 210, which is fine because we're already at 204, so we'll just kind of stay in that ballpark. Our VREF is 140. We're gonna set our bug to actually, let me change that. Reset bug altitude. Okay, so we're gonna go with 16 because we want to, I think, get prepped for, yeah, not fix. Is that descent page? Forecast. Oh, here we go. So we're gonna go with 145 for VREF. Just to...
Arctic 5065, descend to 10,000 feet. Altimeter 3023.
Descend to 10,000 feet, 3023 Arctic 5065. I'm supposed to do this as soon as I get the clearance, or the instruction. And I did not. That is on me. Alright, we are descending. So we just got to be through 16,000. We're going straight to 10 per ATC, which is totally fine. I might stay in this view for a minute. Auto throttle is taking over there. Might take over the speed at some point, maybe once we get to... Yeah, so we just gotta be below 16,000, that's fine. I think we're gonna get there no problem. Dunham is 13,000, which we're gonna be at 10 by then, so... I think we've got a good track going. We're speeding up a bit. Our first speed restriction is not till Ilubo, so we've got time. So once we descend, we're going to slow down. We are passing 18,000, so let's switch to the other pressure, which is 3023. That changes it a little bit. So that's all right. I think we are... What's this auto cruise button? I wanted to see that. Pause at top of descent, auto time compression. Oh, that's the sim rate. Okay, that's interesting. So remember, we are going to be getting radar vectors, so I don't want to change the heading just yet. I'm not going to change the altitude just yet. Yeah.
Arctic 5065. Contact Montreal Center 134.975.
134.975, Arctic 5065. 4975. Montreal Center, Arctic 5065, descending through 17,000 feet.
Arctic 5065, Montreal Center, radar contact. Arctic 5065, contact Ottawa, arrival 135.15.
Why switch me back and forth like that? 135.15, Arctic 5065. 135. I do shift and do that. And 15. Ottawa arrival, Arctic 5065, descending 16,000 for 10,000 feet.
Arctic 5065 Ottawa arrival, altimeter 3023, expect radar vector 4 ILS runway 32.
Wow, what an accent. Expect radar vectors for ILS 32, altimeter 3023, Arctic 5065. Alright, so we're below the required 16,000 for Aledo, which is awesome. We are going for 10,000, which we just need to be 13,000 by Dunham. We're going to be there. That's not going to be a problem. And then we just got to slow down by Ilubo. So, are we vectoring way past that 10 nautical mile circle? Because I don't want to do flaps too early. And once we're geared down, I'm going to hand fly it in. I got to work on my landings, and that's really the only way to do it. But I'm going to... There's a lot to manage here without a co-pilot. If Sam and I ever do a shared cockpit, then I'll have him do that, and I can maybe hand fly a little bit more. But there's a lot to manage being the only pilot. So I'm going to let approach bring us right to gear down, and then once we're geared down, I think I can take over from there. So cross that bridge. Fuel check, we are at 6.9. We're going to be at 6.4, so we've still got more than enough fuel, which is awesome. So we're passing that 13,000 well before Dunham, so that's going to be really nice. And then by Alubo, we just got to slow down. I think that's going to be not a problem at all. Can't get this bug ready yet. It's fine. I would imagine I could switch this heading bug now to 320. I feel like the vectors are going to be relatively close to it, because we're going to be going the opposite direction and we got to turn around, so I'll just do that for now. Out of curiosity, if I go home, zoom in quite a bit. Yeah, see, we're going to go past it and then come back in. Which is fine. Totally fine. Alright, so we are at our 13,000 maximum.
Arctic 5065, descend to 5,000 feet.
Descend to 5,000 feet, Arctic 5065. This is good practice for me to get used to VATSIM with the accents, but also, very fortunately, I have BeyondATC that lists the info. So in this case, I can actually utilize it and try and understand what they're saying. That is thick accents, which I know I can turn off. That is one thing I do know, is that I could turn those off. I don't want to, because I feel like it kind of keeps the immersion to have the regional accents. That is very, very brutal of an accent, but I mean, I am in Ottawa, primarily French-speaking city as far as I'm aware, so it does make sense. But in this case, I'm going to utilize them for the note-taking, whereas VATSIM, I'll have to figure that out when I cross that bridge. But that's where, again, I want to try and get more comfortable with the aircraft than anything else. So altitude restriction does not matter for Ilubo based on the procedures, because we are runway 32. However, the speed restriction still does. So I think we should be slowing down when we get to Ilubo. I'm hoping there's a decel here, and I'm really hoping that it's going to figure it out on its own, the autopilot. I'm going to put them on approach, and I think if I hit this and this again, oh, thought I could hit one of those. I was wrong. Alright, so we should be looking to slow down now, because we do have a speed restriction. I'd like us to get there. Alright, we have passed our 10,000 feet, so we need landing lights on. First off, speed below 250, which we 100% are. We are not going to hit our altitude, which is fine. So landing lights on, seatbelts on, which they already are. So I'll just hit attend. So then once we start getting onto the approach, we will be looking at a couple of other things. All right, so next, restrictions. We've got at Texan, which I believe is the beginning. Yeah, it's right here, right at that 10 nautical mile. We need to be at a speed of 190, which will be perfect because that means we can get to flaps 15 even, and then below, at or above 3,000. So we have hit our speed requirement and we are continuing to descend, which is fantastic. So once we hit the approach altimeter, I'm just going to do this now, is all fine. Minimums are fine. Localizer frequency we've already set. Approach we're going to arm when we get to it. So once we get to Texan, I think. Landing gear down, flaps 15, speed brake arm. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright positions. Make sure
So once we get to that inner circle,
and
I'll do the
all carry-on
approach
luggage is stowed underneath
procedures.
the seat in front of you or in the overhead bins. Thank you.
Because that's when most of that is relevant. I do have to look at aircraft. It's supposed to have my marker for my throttle.
Ottawa arrival, Brickyard 3402, 9,500 feet, we have Alpha.
Okay, yeah.
Brickyard 3402 Ottawa arrival, altimeter 302 expect the ILS runway 32.
Wow. What an accent.
Altimeter 3023, expect the ILS runway 32, Brickyard 3402.
So we're at title, so from this point forward, we are going to be getting vectored until we were on...
Brickyard 3402, 35 miles from Texan, turn right, heading 310, maintain 32 feet until established on the final approach course, clear red ILS runway 32.
Jeez, that is such a thick accent.
Turn right, heading 310, 3,000 feet until established, cleared ILS runway 32, Brickyard 3402.
Alright, so now we're just waiting for our vectors.
Brickyard 3402, contact Ottawa Tower 118.8, have a good day.
Contact Tower 118.8, Brickyard 3402.
Which actually, I should set that heading bug to be more what I am now. And I think that'll be a smarter way to do this. So we are at 143. The course is going to be our heading here. I would like to descend a bit faster. I'm thinking I'm going to do this, try and see if I can get us to drop a little bit quicker here. The bumpy ride.
Arctic 5065, turn left, heading 135, vector for the approach.
Turn left heading 135 Arctic 5065. Alright. So we are officially being
Arctic
vectored.
5065, turn right, heading 245.
Right heading 245 Arctic 5065. Two, 4, 5. All right.
Arctic 5065, turn right, heading 265.
Right heading 265 Arctic 5065. Perfect.
Arctic 5065, 1 miles from Texan, turn right, heading 285, maintain 3000 feet until established on the final approach course, clear ahead VLS runway 32.
I'm going to do that. And then we are going to say, turn right heading 285, maintain 3000 until established, cleared ILS 32 Arctic 5065. Awesome. So once we hit Texan, we should be at 190 for a speed. We just got to get down to our assigned altitude because otherwise it's going to be difficult. Alright, so we turned our heading 285, I assume they want us to stay here. I think. Alright, execute. Alright, so we gotta slow down to 190 and get to 3000. Which we are working on. Oh, I gotta do LNAV, that's right. Alright, so we're getting to the 3000 marker. Which means that now we gotta slow down to 190. Like I said, I will hand fly this as soon as the gear goes down. But for now, I'm gonna let autopilot and approach do a lot of it. Just because there's a lot to manage to get there. So. So then we got to report when we are established on final approach course. So once we get to Texan, I think is when we will report established. All right. And then we got to be flaps 5 by that outer ring, and then flaps 15 by the inner ring. And to get to flaps 15, we got to be under 200, which we will. And then 175 for flaps 30, which is going to be our landing flap speed. All right, so altimeter check, localize the frequency. Yep. Approach mode, once we get to Texan, I will turn that on. And speed brake, we can probably arm that now. Engine start switches, let's go to continuous. I think that'll be good for now. Really struggling to get down to 3000. It is windy, apparently. I turn on approach. It looks like... Are we established? I think we are established. I could be wrong, but I think we're established. Arctic 5065 established. I didn't even call who I was calling.
Arctic 5065, Roger.
I think I'm established. Okay, so I can go flaps 5 now. It is freaking windy. Holy crap. I was not at all established, by the way. Not even close. Because getting established...
Arctic 5065, contact Ottawa Tower 118.8.
Oh no, I am established. Okay. 118.8 Arctic 5065. 118.8. I'm gonna let my co-pilot announce because I forget the proper.
Ottawa Tower, Arctic 5065, ILS runway 32.
Arctic 5065, Ottawa Tower, wind 325 at 6, runway 32 cleared to land.
Wow. Runway 32 clear to land, Arctic 5065. Alright, so I can see the airport. Hand flying might be difficult. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, to be honest. Alright, we are flaps 5. Our speed is varying far too much. I would like to get to 1.7, to be honest. But we seem to be struggling to maintain. I can go to flaps 15, which I think is actually where I'm supposed to be. That should be 10. That'll be 15. Might not be able to do that just yet. Gear is going down. I think I'm going to let autopilot land this one because we are in tough situation. I always forget what that buzzing is, and I think it's because of our speed. There we go.
Cabin crew, seats for landing.
Okay. We should be able to go to flaps 15.
1,000.
And then in theory we can go to VREF, which is 145. Okay. We need to be 175 or lower for flaps 30. Alright. I think I'm going to try and land this myself. Wish me luck. Coming in.
Glide slow.
Oh, no.
Glide slow. Glide slow. Glide slow. Glide slow.
Yeah, we're coming in too low now.
Glide slow. Minimums.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna shut auto throttle off though.
100. 50. 40. 30.
Flare.
20. 10.
Oof. Bounce a little bit. But that's fine.
Arctic 5065, exit right at Kilo.
Shit, which one's Kilo? Okay. Exit right at Kilo, Arctic 5065. Is this Kilo?
Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
Turn the taxi light on.
And turn off the fasten seatbelt sign. This will indicate that we have parked at the gate and that it is safe for you to move about. At this time, you may use your cellular phones if you wish.
All right.
Please check
I'm going to park right here
personal belongings you may have brought
for just a
on board
second.
with you, and please use caution when opening the overhead bins. As heavy
After
articles
landing
may
transponder,
affect
that was a
your
hard
flight.
landing.
If you
Sorry to
require
everyone whose
reclaiming
neck I just
assistance,
broke.
please remain in your seat
Flaps.
until all other passengers have been
1,
claimed.
2, 3, 4,
One of our
5,
crew
6,
members will then
7.
be pleased to assist you. On behalf
Landing
of
lights
myself,
off.
Vera, and the entire
Taxi
crew,
light is
I'd
on.
Like to thank you for joining
Strobe
us on
lights
this trip,
are
and we are looking forward to seeing you on board
steady.
again soon. Have a nice day.
EPU, we're gonna start. Probe heat, we're gonna shut off.
PACX 5065. Contact ground 121 decimal miné.
121.9er Arctic 5065. Okay. Let's just park here for a second. We're gonna tune ground at 119.9er. Because again, I am by myself.
3402. Exit right
Otherwise, we
at
would have
Kilo.
probably already done this.
Exit right at Kilo.
And are we at the... Oh God. Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh, we exited on a fucking runway. Oh, we were supposed to go all the way down. Exactly where I had planned on. Oh my God, I just exited and parked on a runway without even realizing it. Oh boy. All right, that was bad. Oh, well, that would have lost my license, huh? I would have imagined. Yeah, it's 121.9. I tuned the wrong frequency too, on top of that. Alright, I'm off that runway. Cannot believe we did that. I'm gonna get written up on that for sure. Oh, Jesus. Okay,
Brickyard 3402. Gate
Whoops.
66 taxi via Kilo. Alpha. Bravo.
Gate 66 via Kilo. Alpha. Bravo. Brickyard 3402.
oh boy. Flight director's off. Ottawa Ground Arctic 5065 request taxi to gate. Or 62, I gotta figure out where that is too.
PACX 5065. Welcome to Ottawa McDonald Cartier Airport. Say parking or advise if need assignment.
Gate 62, Arctic 5065.
PACX 5065. Gate 62 taxi via Echo. Bravo.
Gate 62, taxi via Echo Bravo Arctic 5065. So it's going to be Echo, which is where we are, and then Bravo, so we're just going to take a right here once we're ready. So, runway turn-off lights are already off. Well, actually, you know what? Let me... So we are at 6.5, right? I'm taking way too long here. I can tell you that for sure. 6.5, where are you sending me? Echo Bravo. What the hell? Alright, I'm gonna have to have GSX come and help me. So we've got gate 62. Show me the spot and activate. It's over there. Alright. We're gonna stow that away real quick before we forget. And is my parking brake on? It is. Let's start the taxi over there, nice and slow, and then I will... So runway turn-off lights are already off. APU gen switches we're going to turn on. Beautiful. This has got to be switched back to APU. I don't know where you're taxiing. Are you taxiing at me? Okay. Yeah, I'll just hang out then. Jesus. Alright, once we pull onto that, I'll turn on the AP. But where are you going? Try and take this nice and slow. It looks like I didn't blow my tires this time. That was a rough landing. That was brutal. Alright, let's just turn APU bleed on. On my left. I'm going very slow because I do have a tendency to somehow mess this up. I think it's that one there with those cars on it. Yep. So let me get back to that there. This master caution is because I turned off the, because the anti-ice is on. Right. Right, I had to shut it off is what I had to do. Taxiing is not the thing I'm best at in this game. Which, it seems like it should be the simplest thing, right? Alright, so that is my gate there. I am coming in hot. Okay. Let me slam on those brakes. Alright, so turning into the gate, which is what I'm doing, we can turn our taxi lights off. And then we are not going to do the full shutdown. We're just going to do the parking procedures. As I've said before, I want to do a second flight, kind of backlog these. So we are just going to do the standard parking. And then hopefully be able to get another flight in today. I was hoping for a little direction here. Are we not gonna flag me in here? Oh, we are. Okay. Okay, we're not following the line. That's fine. I love it. They're gonna send me all this way over here instead of keeping me on that line. Whatever. Oh. Okay. Whatever. Alright, we are parked. And then we're going to cut off the engines. We've already switched the gens, so we can do that. Please remember to submit your flight. I will. So we can toggle the master caution. Turn off our collision lights. Set our wheel chocks. So we're going to do that. We're going to let that power down for a minute. And then we're going to leave our APU on, so we're not going to do any ground connections, simply because we're going to stick with the APU. So we're not going to ask for a fuel truck either. Can I do jetway here? No, can't do jetway. So we're going to have to do stairs. And then we're going to request all of these. So passenger signs off. Yaw damper. Gotta go this way. Off. Fuel pumps. Off, 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 and off. But the left aft, we're going to leave on. Ground power, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave isolation valve, electric hydraulic pumps off. Transponder 2000 standby. Actually, this says to just do the ground power. I said I wanted to follow these procedures. We will stick with it. So let's get the GPU cart. Oh, whoops. Oh, cool. We can do that. May as well, right? Alright, we want no passengers. We can start the D-plane. And we want to get rid of all of our luggage. So we are deboarding. And I can't get rid of that stuff yet. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, we're already parked. Alright, let's just get our ground power. Which means this can be over to ground power. And then APU can be off. Electric hydraulic pumps are off. Isolation valve is open. APU believe we can shut off. Transponder 2000 and standby. We can start getting rid of all the cargo. So 2000 and standby. Master warning off. You can calm down. And we are going to leave the plane otherwise. I'm going to minimize that, minimize this. I do have to reset all of these, so I think this usually starts at 100. This usually starts at 0. This starts at 10,000. All right. So we've got passengers are being deplaned. We've got that all being taken care of. So let's look at how we did. First off, we got to submit the flight. I just did a bunch of something. Oh, that's what I did. All right. So that wasn't too shabby. It was a pretty standard flight. Block time was 2:13. Flight time was 1:55. And I think we are good to hit submit. And let's see how we did. I'm curious about that. So I turned the taxi lights back on right before I got off the taxiway, which I was on another active runway, which was absolutely stupid. But is what it is. So the next one is another 3-hour flight. Might be able to do that. I am not sure. Kind of depends on what time we have, but let's look at the logbook and see. Okay, so scored a little bit worse. Scored a 98. Last time we got a 99, we only got off on 1, so we failed something. Landing rate, so we came down too fast, which I kind of half expected. It definitely felt, so taxi light turning off, we did that properly, so we got to do that before we get onto the taxiway. That makes sense. Landing rate, we went too fast. And that's fine. It was very windy, and so it's minus 333. Was it too fast or was it too slow? Yeah, so it's too fast. But that's not bad. That is not bad at all. So I look forward to the next flight. Looks like our cargo is gone. We're almost done deplaning. I'm going to end the video here. And yeah, we're going to do a quick turnover. So once everybody is off here, we're going to load up the next flight with a new flight plan. And yeah, until then, I will catch you guys later. And you will see the next video on Monday. Au revoir. Goodbye. See ya.